Failed former President Donald Trump had his second straight day in court yesterday in New York City over this fraud lawsuit, and it did not go well for Donald Trump. I suggested yesterday that the post-fraud court appearances might be even crazier than Trump's COVID press conferences, and that is turning out to be the case. Trump seems to be admitting to the very fraud that he claims he didn't commit. I don't think Trump understands he's admitting to the fraud, but he is. Take a listen to what Trump had to say outside the courthouse yesterday. You really can't write this stuff.
So he's been given this information. It's now been proven to be false, such as Mar-a-Lago in Palm Beach, Florida, being worth $18 million when in fact it's much closer to $1.5 billion. And I appreciate very much the officials of Palm Beach calling yesterday and writing and saying that she was very wrong. That's not the way you got to the property. So she said it was $18 million. It's $1.5 billion. Likewise, we've just recently sold two properties for many times what they were worth. Many times what they were worth in the financial statements.
Okay, so first and foremost, if Mar-a-Lago is worth $1.5 billion, then Trump owes some serious property taxes, which should be pursued right away, because for tax purposes, Trump has never argued that Mar-a-Lago is worth that amount. That's number one. This is sort of a circular argument, and a bunch of people emailed me about this. Trump says it's worth a ton because of the Trump brand. The Trump brand's value is based on the falsely stated real estate values that Trump has cited. Trump goes, the brand's worth a lot because of how much the properties are worth. And the properties are worth a lot because of how much the brand is worth, which is only worth that because of my false claims about the value of the properties. Completely circular, but importantly, if it's worth $1.5 billion, Trump owes someone a lot of money in real estate taxes. Okay. Trump then says, how could it possibly be fraud when you're telling the institutions, figure out for yourself what this stuff is worth? Okay, this is Trump continuing to rant and rave outside the courthouse, outside the courtroom, in the courthouse.
Absolutely no fraud. They all made money. They're all happy, 100% happy. And I think very importantly is everything, many, many warnings, page 1, page 2, and many pages. It says, please, you must understand that you have to do your own due diligence and you have to, above all, do your own research and analysis. Do not rely on anything. Do not rely on the financial statement.
And as Trump says, believe nothing I've told you. His lawyer over Trump's left shoulder looks physically pained.
Also, the financial statements are very strong in terms of cash, liquidity, and everything else. This case is a scam. There can't be fraud when you've told institutions to do their own work.
Trump is saying, yes, everything there was false, but I'm not liable because I told them you got to figure out for yourself what this stuff is worth. Unfortunately for Trump, that's not the way that this actually works. And Ron Filipkowski had a funny tweet or an excretion on X about this, where he said, translation, I lied about the value of all my assets, but I put a disclaimer on there that you can't really believe anything I say, so it's not my fault those suckers believed me. Trump then continuing and saying that the entire trial is rigged, he references the judge's clerk. This will be relevant in our next story about a gag order on Trump. So this is an important clip.
I think this is good. How did you decide to come? You didn't have to.
I don't have to, because this trial is a rigged trial. It's a fraudulent trial. The Attorney General is a fraud, and we have to expose her as that. You see what's going on. It's a rigged deal. And frankly, you saw what was just put out about Schumer and the principal clerk. That is disgraceful.
Speaker McCarthy.
All right, so we're going to get back to that. Let's sort of like bookmark that to come back to. But Trump says the whole thing is rigged against him. And then lastly, Trump says he's going to testify. I would be shocked if Trump testifies. It would be a disastrous legal decision. Maybe he's not going to be able to be convinced by his lawyers not to. But here's what he said about testifying.
statements are extremely strong.
Okay, super strong statement, says Donald Trump. Trump says he will testify. I doubt it. I still would guess that everyone in Trump's orbit, not just his lawyers, will come to him and say, you do not want to testify. Do not testify. The risk for lying, the risk for perjury, the risk for further incriminating himself and embroiling himself in more problems is just so great, especially because it's all driven by Trump's egocentric narcissism, in which he thinks he's so much smarter than everybody else, so much more clever, articulate, and compelling as a speaker, that he'll just be able to convince everybody that he's telling the truth. And of course, that's not the way it has worked with investigators so far. So every day, Trump's post-court and pre-court appearances are getting wackier and wackier. And now Trump has been slapped with a gag order. Let's talk about that next. Think of your most personal emails. If you're using a free email provider, you should know that they're scanning every email you send and receive, even after you delete it. They're usually using the data to build a picture of your life to show you ads, which many find creepy. Our sponsor, StartMail, never scans or tracks your emails. Privacy is what comes first. And unlike other email services, when you delete an email in StartMail, it is gone forever. It also protects your data by blocking tracking pixels in emails, which companies and hackers can use to track you. You can create unlimited email aliases to protect your identity and cut down on spam. You can encrypt every email you send, even if the recipient isn't using encryption. StartMail gives you 20 gigs of storage. That's more than you get on Gmail. And it only takes a few clicks to migrate all of your emails and contacts over to StartMail. Go to startmail.com/Pacman to get 50% off your first year. That's only about $2 a month. The link is down below.